Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad.
Well, welcome home, family. It's your mom and dad. And family, love is dead. Love is dead. We're back from a week off, and our good tidings, our good news to you, family, is that after watching The Perfect Match, love is officially dead.
Yeah, it's one of those things you like look up after.
It's an absolute
I
failure.
I remember Googling it and being like, oh my God, I'm gonna look at this, and then just be like, not together. I was just like, you guys couldn't make it a week?
I mean, okay, fam, so sorry if that was a spoiler, but it says episode 7 through the finale.
You guys have seen it all.
Here's the bottom line. Sorry if you haven't watched it, but yes, like Evan just said, after the finale, we looked it up. No one is together. Not one single person. And from what I gathered from looking over the information, it looks like not just that. I think perhaps Christine and Nigel last the longest because they went on that trip 4
They at
weeks
least
later.
went on a trip.
I'm pretty sure everyone else had like a week. Actually, you know what? No, Harry and Jess lasted
They had a week.
for like a week.
Yeah, right. Because it said like the end. It was like they broke up a week later. The one thing I will say though is the one thing I would understand is the Brits and the Americans not working out. I'm like,
I mean, that
you
is
know
a
what
big...
kind of love you have to have in order to be with someone who's on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Like, not only are you dealing with just like you're far away, so you're not a quick flight. You're like, I got to like take 2 weeks off of work to go visit this person.
Sure.
But also time zones. So you have like 3 or 4 hours in a day where you can text someone. That's it, and then they're like, you know, on the other side of it. So I don't know. Like,
I understand that.
You got to have some serious connection to make that work.
Which clearly was not happening, but also it was making me laugh when they all had their final dates at the very end. And everyone in the ITMs were like, we need to have the serious conversation about like, what are we doing after
Yeah, of
this?
course.
And no one, I don't know if you noticed, but the conversation only really looked like, will you come see me?
Yes.
And it was like for Kaz, it was like, yeah, I got my birthday coming up soon. I'm going to come see you for my birthday. I'm coming to America. And you're like, okay, so what does that mean though?
Yeah,
That's
also,
not a confirmation.
you only travel on your birthday? What is that? That was kind of a weird comment. You know
Well, he's
what I mean?
planning on coming to the States for his V-Day. But that's the thing. It's like there was no conversation of what do we look like? Are we dating?
No, it was almost like the internet didn't exist.
Yeah.
Like FaceTime hadn't been invented yet. And they're like, so I'll see you when I sail on the boat
oh my God.
across the seas and then take the horse-drawn carriage to visit you in 6 months.
Also, there was that moment where during the very end where they were talking about Chris and Tolu, and they asked Chris if it was like if Tolu was his perfect match, and he's like, yeah, we're gonna stay in contact. And then even Trevor cheater Trevor
Yeah,
calls
he's
out
like,
from the
dude,
sidelines.
I'm the worst to ever do this.
He's
but
like, I want to let you know that I went on a dating show and continued to stay in contact the whole time with my actual girlfriend. So like, stay in contact is the least you can do. I don't think it screams
stay in contact
doesn't scream perfect match.
That was kind of always my thing with Chris. Was like, I can't tell if he's completely in love or he's trying to stay on the show. That was always a tough one for me.
Well,
like,
I think we kind of figured it out at this point.
Sure. But like, what an epic journey.
I mean,
what a bunch of ups and downs just those last episodes had.
I did, like we said at the top of our recapping of this,
Yeah,
exactly.
Recapping
of this. At the top of our recapping of this, I said I love this show, and I did. It got my attention, and I loved watching every episode of it. Though I will say, towards the end, it did get more and more horrifying. But we were talking trash on Bachelor in Paradise when we started recapping Perfect Match. But the truth of the matter is, Bachelor in Paradise does typically walk away with a few couples that stay together for a while, if not get engaged, get married, versus this show is just like nobody. And I didn't watch Perfect Match season 1, but from what I remember hearing and gathering, it was a similar situation.
Well, you know what's interesting to me watching this show is there's certain connections where I go, there's no way, right? Like even with Micah and Kaz, I was like, dude, the amount of if it's that troubled and you're just hanging out in a villa on vacation,
I can't wait to talk about that.
You know, that'll be a nightmare. And there's certain people, right? But there's certain people where I'm like I'm even thinking about like Alara and Steven. And like them telling each other they love looking into each other's eyes longingly and then breaking up like a week later. I'm always thinking in terms of like, maybe I'm just really inexperienced because we've been together for so long.
Yeah, maybe.
But like to get me to tell you I love you, to connect, to make out all day long, to just be like telling about the future and how much we love each other so deeply and then break up right away. I'm like, no wonder why single people out there are like, I can't believe anything anyone says.
Well,
because to get to that level and then just break up 2 weeks later, I'm always thinking like,
if you are single watching this show, I don't think you should watch it because honestly, it is the most like treacherous thing to watch to be like, oh, so I can't trust anybody.
Because people say like, the craziest shit.
I'm in a happy relationship with you, and after watching this show, I nearly left you. I was like, you're a man, I'm out of here.
It's
like,
crazy.
I want nothing to do with men after watching this show. Okay. On top of it, by the way, we took our week break. Everybody, thank you so much for being patient. We had a lot of like really nice family time. We stayed home because Ember is in the midst of rehearsals for a new musical, which is very exciting.
Very exciting.
But we stayed home, had a ton of family time. A new thing I started doing, a brand new thing for me. I started reading romantic novels, and I don't care if you judge me, okay? I wasn't out here, I haven't read in a long time. I wasn't out here reading self-help, any sort of, historical. I went straight to the like Fabio style romantic novels, and I'm letting you know it's not stopping. It's my new personality trait. I read 30 pages of it for the first one, turned on some classical music, and bitch, I'm a princess now. Like, I'm floating on air. I'm a fairy. I'm a princess. I'm like embodying all the romantic novel
guys.
readings.
And when she says reading,
yeah,
it's not like casual. We're talking like hours on hours at night. Like, we'll go to bed and I'll wake up and it's like 3 a.m. and she's got the light on and she's like, hi. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, she is obsessed.
I'm like a golem with the ring, but it's me and my romantic novel. Evan would like flip the light on and I'd be like,
yeah, very 90s of you. You know what I mean? It's very 90s of you to have a reading light in bed, like reading romantic novels.
I guess I'm living my middle-aged
your
life
early 90s
fantasy, that I'm reading these romantic novels and I don't care. I'm loving them. But my point is after reading pages and pages, hundreds of pages in the past week of romantic novels, this was devastating to watch. It was like, it almost hurt my brain.
Right.
Like, I enjoyed watching it, but also it hurt my brain because I'm like, oh, the love that I'm feeling. So I'm just saying, if you're out there looking, this shit is rough to watch. Yes. It is rough to watch.
Rough.
Truly. And I have to shout out Bachelor in Paradise because I guess to a certain extent, something's happening where it's working more.
Well, we always talk about like Love is Blind seems to be the most successful. And then after that, it goes like maybe The Bachelor sometimes, and then you have Bachelor in Paradise. So we always thought Bachelor in Paradise was like almost a joke in regards to how unsuccessful it seems on the surface. And then you realize compared to all these other shows, you're like, oh no, it is far more successful than it seems.
After watching Perfect Match, I trust no one, and I want to get into it.
Oh my gosh.
So I think for this episode, because we're covering episodes 7, 8, 9, and 10, the finale, and there's a lot to cover, I think the best strategy is going couple by couple.
I completely
and kind of going over how we feel about their journeys in these few episodes,
I think that's the best call.
lack thereof journeys, etc. And also a reminder, before we take a quick pause, family, we have on Friday part 1 of Jen's Bachelorette cast bio breakdown coming out, which these are 2 of our favorite episodes of the year, the part 1, part 2 of the cast bio breakdown. So tune in for part 1 on Friday, and then next week on Wednesday for part 2. I cannot wait. Hopefully Jen is more successful than whatever.
You can only hope and
whatever
pray.
We just watched. The only success really that we saw is Nick on this show. Just absolutely showing us that he deserves to be a host.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering. I was like, Nick, I don't remember a contestant named Nick. Yes, you're absolutely right. Nick was the true winner. He got paid to go on vacation, have a great time.
Made some new friends.
Made some great new friends. He was kicking back,
got
loving the villa, got some new nicknames.
Definitely did some recording in his penthouses.
Surfing lessons.
Yeah, and then he gave us a finale look that was one of the wilder things I've ever seen. A suit jacket combo with shorts and a Henley, I believe, underneath it. So it's not like he was trying to stay cool.
He's just giving, old, like middle-aged older dude who's just hanging out, like pina coladas. You know what I mean?
A suit jacket with matching shorts and a Henley underneath.
He told them, I don't need a stylist for this one. I'm doing my own. And they're like, really?
The stylist recommendation.
He's like, I could do it without you. I could do this without you. Tell me. I'm just saying. The man was so happy. He's like, it was golf every day. It was just, he's so happy.
And not only was he so happy there.
He's like, sorry, babe, the filming went late. I'm not going to be able to drive. They need another week. So unfortunately.
He's like, Christine and Nigel need me on their vacation. They need some behind the scenes hosting going on their vacation. So I'm going to have to see her another month and I'm going to meet up with them in Thailand.
Yeah. And I'm just kicking it. So lose
Can
my
you
number.
send some more Henleys?
Yeah, exactly. Incredible.
I was sad we didn't get one more viewing of the Golden Fedora. Nick, please bring back the Golden Fedora for Love is Blind. I know it doesn't quite have the vacay energy, but I'm praying and begging you, give us the Golden Fedora once again. We're hungry. Your children are hungry.
Like, we saw Fedora sales spike.
Feed your children.
Give us Golden Fedora. You're the only one buying fedoras now in the world. Other than 80-year-old like Italian men in cafes, you're the only other guy who bought a fedora. So either he dusted it off from like the golden case that it was in, or he bought a new one. And the guy in the fedora shop was like, "What? Someone's here?" And they're like, "Yeah, this guy's at the front." And they're like, "Huh?" And they're like, "Bring out the most." Like,
do you think he's secretly happy that the other boy band star, Justin Timberlake, got a DUI and he's like shining right now on the perfect match?
He called his manager immediately and was like, I think we have a window here.
No, he's like, I look good right now. Like, look at me. I'm crushing as a host. My ex, I don't know. I assume all boy bands are enemies. Yeah. My ex boy band guy is
he's like crushing
getting that DUI.
Exactly.
Anywho, okay.
All right.
So before we dive into couple by couple, we got to take a quick pause. Family, listen. If I was on the perfect match, there is no way, and I'm saying this, like, listen to me, there is no way that I'd be wearing a bikini during these challenges. It is not comfortable while I'm trying to move around. Are you kidding me? That rope challenge in a bikini? Absolutely not. But speaking of that, it can be such a pain in general finding things to wear for complex movement. So often they're either uncomfortable, tight in the wrong places, weird sizing, too stretchy, too restrictive, out of season colors, or never enough pockets, which really can bother me. Well, guess what? Rhone has stepped up to the challenge. The new Rhone Women's Course to Court collection is the most comfortable, breathable, and truly versatile set of dynamic activewear on the market. That is what I would wear on the Perfect Match challenges, fam. I'm telling you, I am obsessed with my Rhone pieces. I actually wear them everywhere because style-wise, they're chic, they're breathable, especially in the heat recently. And I'll tell you about the anti-odor technology in a second because I love it. And personally, I am obsessed with the Course to Court dress and their skirt. I have been wearing the dress and skirt, not just on the Course to Court energy. I'm wearing it to the playground. I'm wearing it to the grocery store. I'm wearing it for pickups. It's been 24. While I read romantic novels, I'm wearing this activewear because, baby, I'm ready.
It's catered to tennis, pickleball, golf enthusiasts too. The Rhone Course to Court collection is designed to keep you focused on your next best move with premium dresses, quarter zips, polos, skirts, and more. And Rhone puts a premium on fit and functionality. Luxe fabrics like Cosmic Knit and Celestial Knit serve as the foundation, supporting your freedom and movement and breathability for optimal performance.
And like I mentioned above, Rhone is treated with Gold Fusion anti-odor technology for more wears between washes. You'll be fresh and clean all day long. How cool is that? And I can confirm that this works. It's pretty amazing. Also, Rhone weaves innovation into every stitch down to chafe-free seams, which is incredible. Hidden liners with drop-in pockets, subtle back openings for easy on and off, and double layer waistbands that stay in place. I'm telling you, go check out the collection. I cannot stop wearing it. The Course to Court collection can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. Head to rhone.com/momdad and use promo code MOMDAD to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to rhone.com/momdad and use code MOMDAD. Rhone, for every day, for every you, forever forward. Okay, fam, let's do couple by couple.
Okay.
And Evan, can we please, I need to start off with Harry and Jessica.
Of course.
I need
Duh.
to start. Liar.
Oh my gosh. You know, it's so funny because like the fact that there was even a debate that he did it was hilarious to me because I'm like, hey, I've never seen someone more guilty in their entire life.
You mean him sleeping and then puking relentlessly?
Yeah. Sleeping, vomiting, staring around the corner, watching them talk. Like if someone, and also like for Melinda to like create out of nowhere the most specific lie.
Yeah, like what?
Is so crazy. You know what I mean? Like we've never seen that type. Like you could have lied and been like, he was getting pretty handsy with me, or he was very flirtatious,
right?
Or
More
he
vague.
was hitting on me.
Yeah,
so it's
more
like, okay,
vague.
that's up for interpretation.
But when she's like, he wants to put a baby in me.
Like no one. That's such a specific ass detail, and then no one looked more guilty in the entire world than Harry. And then at the end when we saw,
note to self: refrain from puking violently if you're in the middle of a lie and trying to not
you're like,
look
hold on a
suspect.
sec. You know, I didn't do this horrible thing. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go vomit because of nervousness. And then right
I'm
before
gonna go
Melinda
tell everybody that I keep vomiting.
Yeah. I mean, it was just one of the all-time, like, just like, dude, just own it. Be like, I blew it, because you know that like whatever's gonna happen, like she's gonna see the show. So like,
right,
whatever is going to happen is it's like, even if you make it out of here with her believing, you're not going to last.
But this is where it was sus buckets 5,000. Okay.
Sus buckets.
He's a suspect bucket, that guy. He is an absolute suspect bucket.
Yeah.
Okay. I really tried. Okay. These past 9 episodes before, I really tried. I was like, you know what? There is layers and layers of issues that need to be worked through with therapy. Alex Cooper needs to talk to him. I sure hope that that's happening, by the way, that we're having a Call Her Daddy sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She needs to talk to him. We need to get the therapy, but it's like, you know what? Okay, I think this is what he really wants. He's trying. Maybe he has shifted, even though it doesn't look like it. When we saw the behind the scenes from Netflix at the very end, when he's in the midst of having I just want to have my final moment, my Hail Mary, hopefully Jessica will be with me. And it seemed to go well because he didn't have Melinda who popped in and said anything. He thinks it's all coasting. And then Netflix, sneaky, gave us the behind the scenes footage of that boys' day when he was with Melinda. First of all, yes, we absolutely heard him say that he wanted to impregnate her, okay? Second, we hear them behind bushes and Melinda saying, don't worry, no one's looking, the cameras aren't on, and they kiss, and then they walk out and he says, I want to fuck you.
Right.
Okay? Unbelievable behavior. And then the pinnacle of this.
Yeah.
And this is why I think he thought he was going to get away with it, which I'm like, Harry, have we not done reality TV long enough to realize, okay? They don't have your back. They're not going to hide your secrets for you. You're giving them
Gold.
the drama that they want. We hear him say to a producer, you didn't catch this on camera, right? And the fact of the matter is, the producer could honestly say to him, we did not.
Of course.
But you got a hot mic, my friend.
Well, that was the thing. I was like, you've done this so much. How do you not know the microphone thing?
And so you wonder if he thought a few things. One, I'm their big player. Did they schmooze him enough where he thought
probably
they're going to make it look like a
we're gonna
romance?
cater to
and
you.
then Jess and I did date for a little while afterwards. Or number two, did he think, well, they didn't catch it? And he kept checking, and they probably kept telling him, no, we didn't catch it on camera. So he was like, I'm in the clear.
But again,
and
the
he didn't get
microphone thing
confronted
is
at
so
the
crazy
final.
to me.
Insane. Also, though, drinky. You're drinking,
That's
and so you're
true.
probably, there's less
Your judgment's off
wisdom
in
where he's
regards
like,
to
well, I'm going to
thinking.
believe what they're saying
Yeah.
about the fact that they
Yeah.
didn't get it on camera. And who knows what they said to convince him. Evan, baffling.
You know what's interesting
I gotta
about...
know how Jess is feeling right
Listen,
now.
guys, here's the thing.
I mean,
Like,
holy guacamole.
Hung out with Harry a couple times. Charming guy, super nice guy, right? But like there are people in relationships versus like people in social hangs. And so obviously it's a completely different experience. So here's my thing with Harry. I think that he has his instinct is to see something pretty and go after it. He's almost like a dog and cat. Like it's almost like the dog is outside and sees the cat run along and the dog immediately, no matter how many times we've talked, don't bark. It's immediately like, forget all training. I'm going after it.
Forget all your therapy.
You know what I mean? All the therapy, all the training. And that's the thing what I feel like with Jess is, like, he sees the possible future with Jess. He sees, like, that's kind of the woman I want. That's what I'm looking for. But every time it's almost like there's the cat running around. It's like, I can't help it. And then all the training goes out the window. That seems to be.
If you are a communicative playboy.
Yes.
You know what? Maybe hot take. I'm fine with it. If you are telling all the people around you, I'm non-committal.
Yes.
I'm not looking for a relationship.
Of course. Then you're just being honest.
I hook up. But I'm just saying, I'm a little bit like, hey, if you're an honest
But I don't think that's what he wants. I think he wants to be the thing that he's not. That's that's always the classic thing. I don't have
a problem with that. I have a problem when you are literally, not only doing what you're saying, but then entrenching yourself in wild lies. Because he then goes after the boys end up having, the boys go and they're reunited with all the women who have been sent home and one more, Christine, and vice versa. The girls are reunited. And Harry is just immediately all over Melinda. By the way, he's been all over Melinda since the moment she walked into that house. I don't know if we recall the comments about her boobs, the comments about her butt.
Yes.
He was like, always fixated on Melinda. So I was not surprised when during their boys' time that he was all over her. But then when we take it back to the villa and everyone ends up showing up and Melinda's like, hey, by the way, which was a wild move to say in front of everybody, this is what Harry did. And Harry not only doubles down and says, I didn't do any of those things. He then starts a barrage of men who then start to agree with him about how, when you're in my position, everyone wants clout and I can't trust anybody. And he's got Dom and Steven going, yeah, it's hard enough for us. Like, it must be hard for Harry. Everyone is lying about him, using him. It's this sob story. He's puking in the bathroom, and it was a blatant lie. No wonder he was puking, because he was looking dead into the camera and being like, I did not do that.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was really interesting. The whole time I was thinking to myself, like, you're not going to get away with this, so it's going to be so much worse for you. I think the best thing he could have done is come back, been like, I made a huge mistake. I'm still kind of working through my old self. Jess, I don't deserve you. I'm so sorry, but I don't see how there's any world where I deserve you. I think I'm going to leave. As much as it breaks my heart, the idea that I did this already, I'm just like a broken person. And if you're gonna be like, it's like, then at least she knows the truth now, and she can then make the decision to kind of like mom you and like and see if I can fix you.
I mean, it still would have been manipulation station.
100%. But I'm just saying, at least it's truthful manipulation versus like just blatant lying. Because I'm like, there's no way you get away with this. Maybe in the real world you could have gotten away with it, maybe. But on TV with mics and cameras, I just was like, I had no clue what he was thinking. Like, how you think you're going to pull this off?
Yeah. And I mean, listen, I personally was not loving the fact that Melinda, when we saw the behind the scenes of like, no one's looking, kiss me,
she was going for it. It wasn't as simple as she made it when it was like, he just kissed me. I'm like, what? Like, it was definitely like,
let's do this.
There was two parties involved.
But then, I think Harry absolutely owes Melinda an apology for being like,
of course,
you're a liar. Like saying to her face, essentially, you're a liar. And then running around and being like, she's clout farming to get to me.
Yeah.
And she's going like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't need this. And I
felt, if anything, it was the opposite of clout she's going to get. Like, I felt she was going to get hate from a lot of people. And then obviously the girls could be like, why are you doing this? And like,
well,
so if
and
anything,
they did.
it felt, so I'm saying, so it felt like a weird, clout was definitely not the move I would have said that she could be accused of. You know what I mean? I'm like, clout. I don't understand like, just because you kissed her, you're going to give you something in life? No, it hit me as more as like, maybe, I guess you could say that the experience could give her more screen time But
yeah, but that was the thing when he went to the guys.
But they did it in a let's do it in the dark. So I don't know.
It was absolutely just like, I couldn't even believe it when he went. I think he was talking to Dom when he was listening to them, and he was just like, you can tell that she's clout farming because she's doing it in front of the whole group of women because she knows she's going to get camera time. And I'm like, Harry, you do know that like if she pulled Jess aside and said it alone, there would be a camera there as well.
Same thing.
So like,
Also,
what are you talking about? What's the difference?
When did clout chasing become clout farming? Is that something you made up, or is that something they said?
No, I believe that Harry actually created the term clout farming, which I do love. I can't lie about that.
It's like an agricultural take on clout.
And I'll also continue to say this, as much as I absolutely just could not believe my jaw was on the floor when we saw the footage. It was entertaining. Terrible, but entertaining.
Super
and
crazy.
on top of it too, oh my God. Add to the terribleness of it, when you had that conversation, when Harry and Dom had that conversation, and Dom was like, him and Jess had formed a friendship, and he was like, dude, Jess is a good person. And like, as someone who had a single mom, like you need to be careful with what you do.
This is different.
And Dom gave him some very wise, intimate words that he'd experienced. And then for Harry to just continue to just blaze through it. And now to know that they kept dating, he was probably keeping that lie up the entire time. I gotta know if it was Jess's first time finding out.
Yeah, like how did they get back together for a week? You know what I mean? Probably, I don't know. But I mean, listen, at the end of the day, the true rock star of this whole thing was Jess.
Jessica is, honestly, I need to give an applause to Jessica because I have loved her. Obviously, she's had so many fans. Right. We've all loved her from day one on Love is Blind. But she continues to just be an incredible person.
Side note, what was really funny to me was remembering Dom. I think it was Dom talking about liking Jess, but he's like, she's way too bougie for me. That made me laugh.
No, not
hard.
Dom.
Was it not
Dom?
Who was it that was like, oh yeah, I've always had like a kind of a crush on her, but then at the same time I could never be with her because she's way too bougie. Yeah, Trevor was like, yeah, way too bougie. That just made me laugh. But no, she is. The way she handled all this without breaking, you know what I mean? Without like crumbling, like, they had an incredible connection. They had all this. She gave him a chance. Then he proved her biggest fears right, completely betrayed her, lied, everything. And instead of cry, how could you do this to me? She literally stood right at him and just said like, I can't justify bringing you home to my daughter. I can't justify like explaining to my daughter that her stepdad or whatever happens one day that is this kind of guy. Like, but stayed strong, cried after. Like she wouldn't give him the satisfaction of like, you're going to get that out of me. It was almost like I'm going to be strong. I'm not going to. And you know what she always did too, which I found was so impressive, was that she never lashed out at him. She'd have an initial feeling of like frustration, and then she go, you know what? I'm an adult here. I'm going to give you your chance to speak. Like she always was just so incredibly democratic about it. Like never just like always took the high ground, always took the most mature, always kind of did what you wish you could do in fights, which is like be calm, cool, and collected.
Her communication is incredible. Which by the way, I was thinking the entire time, remember how Jimmy was like talking shit on Love is Blind, and he was just like, she's a lot, and she was doing this, and da-da-da-da, and in the pause, I was feeling disrespected, and I'm like, wow, that shows a lot about Jimmy when now you're seeing this, when she's having to deal with fucking Harry.
Right.
And the nonsense that was going on there, like IRL.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, Jimmy, I see you.
Yes.
But not only her communication with Harry, but another thing that I thought, obviously she did get heated between her and Melinda for a second.
Yeah, of course.
Which, they seemed to shake it off, hug it out type energy afterwards.
Within the conversation, too.
Within the conversation,
you know what I mean?
and then even after. But she was, the way that at that table, when she was sitting with the women, her communication level, where she communicated to every woman at the table, she goes, I just want to say this right now. When I potentially go for Harry and do make the choice, I don't want to hear anything from anybody else. Like I know what I'm stepping into. I appreciate the conversation. If you have a problem, please come to me one-on-one. When I do make the choice to be with Harry, I would appreciate people not talking about it behind my back, not, ragging on me. I know what I'm doing and I know the risk I'm taking. And her just being, she like covers all of her bases. Yeah. Like
she's like, I know what I'm doing here. Yeah. I'm trying something,
No, 100%.
I see potential in this guy. There's obviously a lot of issues. We'll see. But I mean, she never misstepped. She never lashed out. She always just kept it cool, calm, collected in the face of adversity.
She also too, during the girls' time when like all the guys showed up, she was like this gorgeous balance of like being in the moment by like being playful, but
Yes.
never crossing a line.
No, she's like, I'll do hula hoop with Justin.
Nigel.
Yeah, I'll do hula hoop with Nigel. I'll be fun and flirty and just kind of experience this, but also not at the same time like jump in and I'm sitting on some
have
guy's
like an
lap or
intimate
something. It was always
conversation,
very
which she's free to do.
Of course,
like,
but I'm just saying
but it's
she
like,
was-
But it's like the fact that I don't know, she's just.
kind of like Harry. Within 4 seconds was making out with someone telling them he wanted to put a baby inside of them.
And then I want to fuck you.
Yo, Harry,
That's
low key
bananas.
though, like even saying I want to fuck you is crazy, but like at least it's just like on brand for like, this type of thing. Put a baby in someone. I've never like that's a crazy pickup line. I'm gonna put a baby inside of you. Like, talk about jumping in the deep end.
I mean, Harry's out here. Listen, he was out here before they inevitably, which shout out to Jess, then she ends it. He wants to match with her and she walks away. I mean, bravo and snaps to her.
Incredible.
Unbelievable. But before that, he's out here. He's writing her love notes around the flower.
Yes.
He's really
Really
trying. He's really putting it on. But woven in, there are still the Harry comments of, if Jess goes on a date, I'll be at home here eating pineapple to be sweet for her later. That is.
He's
listen,
one of the. He says the craziest
listen,
shit ever.
That's nuts.
That's nuts.
That's
He's nuts.
I mean, you talking about how you're gonna taste later downstairs. Again, just like the cream pie was said
Yes.
before. I've never heard it on
he's
television.
crazy.
Like
He's
that.
absolutely mental because he's just like he just says the craziest stuff that like you would whisper among each other on television
I
for all to
couldn't
hear.
believe it. I
But
couldn't believe it.
Good
But
entertainment, I gotta say.
it gave us
know.
absolutely bonkers entertainment, and wow, I mean, took us on a
Took us on a journey
roller
there.
coaster. And following up, I believe they are both currently single. I know he was like, I'm very single. I'm diving into, he's got a podcast now and all this stuff. And, hopefully for him, he's continuing
And-
therapy and
yeah, and we
continuing
wish
to
you the
grow.
best,
Maybe
buddy.
being honest about,
Yeah.
where you're at. And I think Jess is single. And I just have to say, Jess is going to make someone incredibly happy.
Yeah, Jess
And I
needs-
hope someone makes her incredibly happy.
Yeah, Jess doesn't need another, someone to kind of be a mother to.
No.
She needs someone to help take care of her because she's already taken care of you.
I see
She
Jess
needs
with
to be
someone a
with someone-
little bit older who hopefully is
Completely
absolutely
agree.
loaded because she talks about how she likes that money, honey.
Yeah.
So like get her that cash, a handsome guy who's a little bit older,
A shy,
6'5", finance, blue
famous
eyes.
athlete.
Sure.
A shy one.
Yeah, shy.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
he's not out there, being a player.
You
but
know what?
But he's like strong, big dude.
We need a
rich.
hockey player for Jessica.
That is good.
Hockey player.
Okay, I like
I'm
that.
saying it right now.
I like it.
Okay, and then can we have a moment to address Izzy's story?
Yeah, like Izzy's kind of like
He's
you know what's
connected to
sad
Jess and
is
then
we're gonna
loops
do the
into
same
Micah.
thing to Izzy as he was done to him. So we're keeping it on. We're just getting we're making Izzy just a little tag on to like
Izzy's
someone
a
else's
tag
journey.
onto Jess, and then it connects onto Micah.
Yeah, which
and
then we will go
Kaz.
into them.
So
Yes.
can we have
Yes,
we
of
do an
course.
Izzy
A quick little
an
Izzy hit.
Izzy moment? Izzy moment.
Izzy mommy.
But before that, we're gonna take another quick pause. Family. As your kids get older, some things about parenting get easier. Like since Ember has gotten older, we've been able to talk more about what's going on, how she's feeling. And when I say we talk, I mean we never stop talking.
It never ends.
Ember and I, we talk and we talk and we talk. We talk 24/7. But other things don't get easier. Like having that conversation about money. The fact is, kids won't really know how to manage their money until they're actually in charge of it. That's where Greenlight can help. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families. Parents can send money to their kids and keep an eye on kids' spending and saving while kids and teens build money confidence and lifelong financial literacy skills.
Yeah, it's actually really incredible.
Yeah.
With the Greenlight app, kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Thanks to the games that teach money skills in a fun and accessible way. And the Greenlight app also includes a chores feature, which I'm a huge fan of, where you can set up one-time or reoccurring chores customized to your family's needs and rewards kids with allowance for a job well done. And I'll tell you what, I had many, many chores growing up that I probably wouldn't have avoided if I had funds deposited when I completed them.
Hear that. True. And I've said it before, but I personally, I really struggle with financial literacy. I have for a long time. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I didn't learn about it growing up. So I am so happy that Ember gets to have green light to give her that knowledge young, to give her that step up. Millions of parents like myself and kids are learning about money on Greenlight. It's the easy, convenient way for parents to raise financially smart kids and families to navigate life together. Sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/momdad. That's greenlight.com/momdad to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/momdad. Okay, I want to talk about
Izzard.
our Izzykins.
Izzard the lizard.
Izzykins, you know what? I mean, what a guy.
What a guy.
I gotta say,
he's
what a guy.
He's like if the producers lost one of their contestants and he was just in the resort next door.
Yeah.
And they're like, any singles here? He's like in the pool floating alone. And he's like, here.
Oh, with a pina colada.
Yeah, and he's like, I just got a virgin pina colada. Actually, no, because he's the king of the slurs. He's the king of slurring his speech
Yeah, I was like,
when he
king
has
of the slurs. No, slurring.
He's the king of slurring his speech when he has one half of a cocktail.
I saw a TikTok of him where he was like, when you're the oldest in the house, so you decide to get drunk every night. And so I was like, okay, so we were right. He definitely,
and I can't tell if he gets drunk or he literally has one drink, but it's the first thing to go is his tongue.
Yeah.
Because he always is just like, let me ask you a question. And it's like immediately the voice goes. It's so funny. He's like, Jess, you want to mash up midnight? But the poor guy,
I mean,
you know what I mean? Like when, just real quick, can I just jump ahead real quick?
Please.
When they put him on a date with Jess, I was like, dude, that's so mean.
What do you mean?
Like, do you think Jess is gonna like him? Like, not only that, but like Jess just literally just broke up with her quote dream guy in a horrible cheating situation.
Yeah.
And then you're sticking the guy who needs hope in his life on a date with the girl who is 5 minutes broken up with.
Yeah.
It's like,
sure.
even if he was her dream guy, which he is not, there's no chance she'd even be even halfway emotionally available to go on a date.
And not only that, they put him in an acrobatic silk situation where she was like, his sweat was
sweating
in
on
my
her
mouth.
face. Yeah. It's just like, dude, and it's like, so what?
By the way, he kept talking about how much he was sweating. So like, for her to mention it and him to mention it, he had to have been absolutely pouring sweat all over her, which is when you're not in love with someone.
Oh my God. Like, even if you are, it's like, dude, this is
But if you're not
gross.
hot, okay, I should say this. If you're not hot for someone, getting absolutely drenched in their sweat is disgusting.
Even if you're hot for someone and you're getting sweat on, not in a non-sexual way, it's gross, right? If you're just like next to someone and their shirt's wet and they wring it out on your face, you're gonna be like, oh my God, that's gross. So it's like, that's the only time I was pissed at Chris and Tolu. I was like, you guys.
I know.
Like, call anybody else. Give him a shot with anybody else.
But they were doing it to like set him up.
But I'm like, Jess is like, let her go home.
I know. I think the reason they did it was because they were like, oh, they're both on Love is Blind, and clearly the Love is Blind people are here for like serious relationships. That's more of the energy.
I mean, I get it logically, but
no, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, you guys, she literally just broke up with Harry. Like, this
she was
is
so
absolutely
sweet
bananas. I know.
to match with him that first night.
I know.
It's just you could tell that was like this is for him. I want to be nice to him. I'm not in the mood for any of this. And then the next morning, he's like, everyone, we have decided to unmatch.
Together.
And everyone's like, what? And he's like, I am being forced to say we decided this. But as a supportive husband, we have decided to do this. You know what I mean? Like, it was 100%
because his
hilarious.
ITM right before, he's like, I hope Jess gives me a chance. Like, I know that I'm a friend right now. Which, okay, I do want to say this, though, about Izzykins, okay?
Yeah.
Check this out. Let's be real here. We're getting a narrative where Mr. is being friend-zoned not once, not twice, but thrice.
Yes.
But when they play the game where they're setting up the planks and having to guess truths about each other, when they say, how many people have you slept with? He's slept with over 100 people.
That was the biggest shocker ever.
So let's us not think, oh, Izzy always gets friend zoned. Izzy has a fucking technique and you know it. Izzy becomes the friend and eventually gets the hookup.
So there's only two ways.
Okay?
There's two options here. Either he's secretly a big player, Or he went to a sex club once and there was 100 people there. And he just kind of said, well, technically, everyone was having sex. So like, I could technically say I had sex with 100 people.
Or he misheard it and they said, how many times have you had sex?
Yeah,
and he was like 100
He said,
times
well, I did have a
when I was a
girlfriend
long-term
for 5
relationship.
years. So I was like, if I do the math. Yeah, that's maybe what it was. How many times have you had sex? But 100 plus people, Izzy, that is crazy.
So I'm just saying,
Something's
I think
on.
Iz has got a little bit of a dick.
Maybe he's just like out of his element and he's really actually just like a LARPer. And he's like known as like the absolute slayer.
He's a LARPer?
No, I'm saying like
He's live action role playing?
no, what I'm saying is like, unless it's like one of those things where like in the LARPing community, he's known as like the guy that hooks up with everybody. Yeah. But like in real life or in normal life, he's kind of like not that guy. Because I'm going, what world is this guy taking down 100 people?
I think Iz has got a technique. Wow. I think he becomes the friend, and when someone's sad,
he does the classic, I'm so sorry, I'm on your team, like he did with Micah when Micah was fighting with Kaz. He's like, by the way, I'm on your team, Micah. I love you. Call me.
Which, okay, so then jumping to Izzy and Micah.
Yeah.
So Izzy does end up showing back up when they have the girls' day, boys' day, and he comes back with all the guys who have been eliminated. And immediately he goes to Micah and he's like, I would like to apologize for our first meeting. Yes. She's like, you mean where you knew everything about me, like my social security
like my cat's
number?
name and like my address? And he's like, apologies.
And he's like, yeah, I'm so sorry. And I thought he was going to just try to friend it out.
Yeah.
But then he did say that she was the one who he's had his sight set on.
Yeah, it was like, dude, you did it again.
He did it again.
It was like, dude, you apologized. You're like, I'm not weird at all. Anyway, just so you know, I'm still in love with you. It was like, bro, don't say anything. Yeah, but anyway, like, you know what it is? Sweet guy. Just not built for this.
Not for a perfect match.
No, not built for a perfect match.
He was definitely built for Love Is Blind.
Of course, because he's a normal guy.
Yeah.
The perfect match is like, we're dealing with like, you know, professional athletes of dating on TV.
Yeah.
And he's just a normal guy.
Yeah.
He's like, if I was to go on the show, I'd be like, hi. And you're like, oh shit. And like, sure. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a normal guy. And like, these are not normal people. These are people who are like used to playing the game and being this and that and being good on screen. He was just not.
I think you'd do pretty well on the show.
You think I would? Oh, what's up?
I feel like you'd be though more of a Justin character who you'd find the person that you liked immediately.
I'd get torn up.
I'd get
chewed up.
Yeah, you would probably set your sights on somebody and either they would absolutely fall in love with you and you guys would be the one couple that lasted because you're a loyal king.
I would believe people's words, and that's something you can't do if you're on these shows. I would go, oh, you do like me. And it's like, you didn't realize you're using me to stay one day to get with that other person. I would just be like, oh, you do like me. Cool, me too. I like you too. And they'd be like, what?
But if you were on the show, I think you do well.
It's very sweet.
I'd choose you.
Oh my gosh.
All my romantic novels coming out.
Yeah.
It's made me such a lover.
I choose you.
I'm so romantic now. But so then, yes, anyway. Izzy, what ends up going down, which we can then merge into Micah and Kaz from this. What ends up going down is that after a date is set up with Steven and Britton and with Alara and Nigel. Britton and Nigel, they come into the house. Kaz is flirting it up with Britton. It's getting Micah worried. And then all the women end up coming back. And Kaz ends up flirting with Britton, almost choosing her, but not. And then flirting with Christine, telling her that she is his number one. And then making out hard during a game with Holly. And Micah sees it. We'll get into more details, but Micah immediately ends up being absolutely not. They walk off. Kaz matches with Christine, and then Micah is just like, Micah got absolutely screwed.
Got wrecked. I
couldn't lie to you. I was kind of dying when her bestie Tolu told her that she had clam energy. Yes. Our queen Tolu said, you have clam energy. And I'm like, she's been called
clam.
It's giving clam energy. I'm like, Micah's been,
I don't know what that means, but it's
Micah's been called a fun sponge and clam energy.
I have no idea what clam energy is, but one thing I will say, I've never once said, "Oh yeah, please, I love that." Someone called me a clam the other day.
No, you
feel the energy, but you don't know what that energy is.
You know what clam energy is. You don't even have to use words to define it.
Is it clingy? Is it like slow and tired? Is it clammy? Like you're pasty and kind of like
it's a
it's a unsavory energy.
Yeah, it's kind of Squidward like
Yeah.
energy. That's kind of, I know I'd throw out
I
some
don't know.
SpongeBob references.
You kind of talk about that a lot, and
Yeah.
I've never seen it. And I don't know why you keep talking about it.
because I love it.
But I've never seen the show, so it's like I have no clue what you're talking about. Squidward, I don't know who these people are. I don't know what they're doing.
Well, the family probably
Okay,
does.
got it.
So you understand what I'm saying.
Got it.
But I, off of the clam energy,
Yes.
off of the way we feel about
Yes.
Micah, off of the way that I do feel like Kaz and Micah's relationship the entire time was obviously doomed for failure and was giving that toxic. Micah and Kaz give that couple that we all have in our friend group that we're like, we all know that you guys shouldn't be dating because you break up every other week, but you guys are attracted to each other and you do keep getting drawn back in. And I believe too, what Christine said, going back to what's comfortable, and you keep just kind of coming back to what feels right or what feels good, even though you know it's not right. That was what they were giving. Regardless of all of this, I did feel for Micah in that situation because Kaz like he didn't just peck Holly, he grabbed Holly by the neck and made out with her for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I felt, I did feel for Micah in that moment.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
like, what am I supposed to do? So then Micah, just to wrap up the Izzy piece, and then we can get more into Kaz
yeah.
and Micah. Micah is devastated.
Right.
And Micah is like, this is the worst day of my life.
Yeah.
And she essentially, Izzy's checking on her. And then she grabs Izzy and she's like, do you want to match up? And he's like, this is my moment.
No, yeah.
And he's
Poor
like,
guy.
absolutely. I would be.
He's like, I'd love to just, she's like, I'd love to just use you to get through the
He's
night.
like, I would be honored to defend you
He's
and
like,
to stand
my
by your side.
liege. And he bowed with his knight's armor, and
he kissed her feet.
she put the swords on his shoulders or whatever they
He's
do.
like, this is finally what's gonna happen.
To serve you on the battlefield would be my greatest pleasure.
And so the moment after she says, will you match up with me? He says, yes. And she says, he says, it would be my honor. And she says, this is the worst day of my life.
Yeah, this is the worst day of my life.
No, like,
and then proceeds
right after she
right
says,
after.
will you match up with me? He goes, yeah. She goes, worst day of my life.
And then proceeds to go to bed together.
Yes.
And all you see is the cameras, her talking till 5 a.m. about how annoying Kaz is and how heartbroken she is. And he's sitting there in bed just going, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, and
that
he's like
happened
there
to
and he's
you."
like, can I
It
get
was
you
like-
another cup of tea?
I mean,
He's
it
just
was
like he was
It
trying.
was crazy. You know what I mean? She just used him as a stuffed toy in the corner to talk at, and he just
Yeah.
sat there and took
And
it
you know what
all
makes
night
me so
long.
sad for Izzy is that she didn't even use him as a way to get Kaz jealous.
No, because he knew that would make it jealous. She
I
just used him
know.
as a best friend.
to stay in, to
She used him as
try
one of
to-
his girlfriend, one of her girlfriends.
Yes, to absolutely stay there, to either keep an eye on Kaz
Yes.
or eventually connect back with Kaz.
Yes.
But like, it wasn't even like how a lot of people in this show, they end up matching up with someone like Elise with Justin. She was like, I'm going to make Harry jealous. It was like, no, Kaz isn't going to be jealous of Izzy, but I just need a placeholder to stay in this. It was so sad.
It was literally like, I need a driver, so I'm going to tell this guy I like him so he drives me around all day or something. It was that bad. Oh, poor guy. R.I.P., dude.
Well, Izzy, he ended up leaving. But you know what? At the end of the day, Izzy has been dating someone for a long time. And I've heard via some of the articles that he's like practically engaged.
He's
He's like ready to put a ring on it.
He's the normal guy. He's a normal person who's looking for love. There's no question he will absolutely find love before any of these people.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
You know what I mean? Because he's not in it for all the reasons most of these people are on the show for. He's literally just going, oh, cool. Like you
I
seem.
think
oh,
there
okay.
are two people who felt like three people who were there for love. And I
Tolu,
think Tolu,
for sure.
Jessica,
Yes.
and Izzy. I think those people were there for love.
Yeah. Tolu and Izzy 100%. Jess, I think so as well, but I also think that Jess is very savvy.
Yeah.
And she hits me as someone who's
Let's
kind
get
of
those
like,
Instagram numbers up
yeah,
to help,
I'm
to help
building
take care of my fam.
Exactly. Single
Sure.
mom energy.
But
She's
I also
giving
think
single mom energy, which is like,
she's ready to be in a relationship.
well, 100%. But yes, I mean, versus all the others were just definitely like, it was giving like Love Island, just kind of like, I'm here to party and then say that I'm in a relationship, but really not. Like, that's kind of what it ended
and
up
now for
being.
the next year and a half, I'll get invited to all the influencer events.
Exactly.
get
And then
the
I'll probably
Instagram
hook up.
numbers.
Well, I'll hook
Which
up with all these
shout out,
people.
you know what I mean? mean?
Do it.
Get those bags. Okay, we got to take another quick pause, and then let's get into more of the Kaz and Micah of it all. So, family, on a different note, it's time to step into summer with style and ease thanks to one of our favorite sponsors, Jenni Kayne. I would have been floating around the Perfect Match Villa in my Riviera slip dress every day, and let me tell you, I would have gotten some matches, okay? In that Riviera slip dress, just like I have been. I've been wearing this dress constantly. The Riviera and the Jenni Kayne Cove dress are my warm weather go-tos. I feel so gorgeous and romantic when I wear them, and when a chill hits the air, I pair it with my cotton cocoon cardigan. It's so dreamy, and you can join me in this dream because Jenni Kayne is here to help you live your best season yet. For a limited time, our listeners get 15% off your first order at jennikayne.com and use the code MOMDAD to get that 15%.
Jenni Kayne is a California brand through and through, and their staples make getting dressed effortless and perfect for that summer aesthetic. I have a new saying, by the way. It's called skies out, thighs out. Think minimalist and refined with pieces like luxurious cashmere sweaters and iconic accessories to elevated versions of all your everyday basics. Jenni Kayne has everything you need to embrace your uniform, not to mention the most incredible home essentials too. They're incredible. They're my favorite home aesthetic.
Yeah, Evan is obsessed with the Jenni Kayne home essentials.
I'll just scope it all
day long. He just scrolls the throws, the candles, all of it. Delicious. And you mentioned Jenni Kayne helping you embrace your uniform, which is so true. I love a uniform, and the absolute quality of Jenni Kayne makes their pieces an investment that lasts, and the styles also are timeless. So you can wear them for forever, and you can also pair these pieces with everything. Having gorgeous go-to clothing is something that I love. I get compliments every single time I wear a Jenni Kayne sweater or dress, and they're so comfortable. I can truly live in them all year long. My current Jenni Kayne obsession is the Cooper cardigan. It's so cute with its button accents and flattering silhouette. It's perfect lightweight layer for cool evenings when I'm out there reading my book, feeling so romantic and dreamy. Also the air-conditioned spaces. You have to go to their website and drool. Seriously, go on their website, check it out. You will drool. Be romantic with me, family, okay? Plus, they have an incredible rewards program where you can earn up to 10% back with every purchase, and joining is completely free. Find your new uniform at jennikayne.com. Our listeners get 15% off their first order when you use code MOMDAD at checkout. That's 15% off your first order at JENNIKAYNE.com. Promo code MOMDAD. Let getting dressed be one less thing to worry about. Embrace your summer aesthetic with Jenni Kayne. Skies out, thighs out, as Evan says.
Skies out, thighs out. My new one.
Okay, next we have Kaz and Micah. That couple. So
what a 180.
Okay, so when we started actually episode 7, we were left at the question mark of whether Kaz was going to go with Micah or Holly. And you and I both, we guessed that he was going to go with Micah, and we were right. He did end up choosing Micah. And my question was, is it because of the connection that he has with Micah, or is he now worried? He wants to keep up like, an image type thing because now Micah's like calling him a liar. And now I'll be real with you. Now seeing all the episodes and reflecting back, I know that I was saying that Kaz was being honest, which he was, but also, truth be told, if I was in a couple with someone and they did leave out the fact that like your hands were literally all over someone, that feels like a big omission. Now, if I'm being reflective, and it is tough for me because I am not a huge Micah fan and I was more charmed by Kaz, but it is true. And now when I am reflecting and seeing kind of went down, I do understand the energy of what Micah was saying of like how they were on very different pages. Like Micah was like, if we're together, we're together. And you are just keeping your options open, which is fine, but you're simultaneously telling me that you do want to be with me.
Yes.
So I do understand that, because over episode 7 through the finale, the guy fell in love, quote unquote, fell in love with like 4 different people.
Well, it's interesting. I couldn't tell if he switched it up or he was getting a really good edit the first chunk. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think
because
that
I was going.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, just because I was like going, the first chunk was like, seems like such a great guy. He's getting hit on all the time and staying true. She's miserable, kind of unlikable vibes, whatever. But then all of a sudden, he switches and he's becoming this total flirt, totally playing the field, you know, really seeing what works for him in the moment, which is totally what the show's about, but at the same time being like sketchy about it, and then telling other people that they're the number one pick and this and that and the other. Yeah. And then, you know, like when he finds out that like, she's kind of saying to other people that they don't seem like they're that solid, then goes out and makes out with Holly. Like he turned into the bad guy, and that went, it got exponentially worse all the way to the end, to where during the end, when he told Nigel that he's a beta male and he's not alpha like him
that
out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like it was like, am I missing something? Was he always this guy? And then maybe they just gave him a good edit in the beginning to kind of make you have a journey, or did he literally just flip it on a dime? One thing I will say is possible is that like toxic relationships can turn people bad behavior. Yeah. So it's possible that like his dynamic with Micah kind of made him.
Yeah. And I wonder too, because of their dynamic together, you know, he at one point was saying to her that he's like, you expect honesty from me, but you're also not sharing how you're feeling. And I'm the one out here sharing how I'm feeling. And I wonder if that moment when he heard from Brighton and some of the other boys that Micah was out there saying that they weren't the strongest couple when she had been telling Kaz that they were, he then did what he did out of deep insecurity versus like, I'm hot for these other women. Maybe not that he was actually hot for the other women, but that he got his feelings hurt and felt very insecure, seeing Brighton and Micah talking and then hearing about that. And then just in a very immature, not okay way, jumped in and was like, I'm just gonna throw it all out. Because then eventually the fact that he ended up going back to Micah.
Wild.
And then when after he went back to Micah, once paired off with Christine, when you see them back in their room, he like grabbed her and he's like, I missed you so much. And started like, and I was like, oh, this is spicy. Like they do have an intense chemistry. And I feel like we did see that.
You mean? Because other than that chemistry, I don't see the chemistry.
Well, whatever it might be, there is something there that really draws them to each other.
I mean, listen, guys. Here's my thing. It's my final thing I'm going to say about it, which is like
the whole thing. We're still talking.
about like about this specific thing.
Okay.
Micah makes my whole body hurt.
Yeah, I know you just. Really
it's just one of those things. I can't. Everything about her energy is so soul sucking to me that like I was not willing to see bad behavior from Kaz. You know what I mean? For a while, I was just like, it's all her. She's the worst. Everyone hates her. But you know, like all the women were like, Micah's amazing, but all the guys were like, oh, like horrible. Her like we used to have a friend who was a nice, fun guy. Now he's miserable. Like, so that's kind of what I caught from her. And clam energy, you know, the whole thing. And the one thing I will say is I think why she triggers me so much is because I feel like she gets someone to be in a relationship with her by wearing them down emotionally. Like Kaz becomes addicted. I think some guys kind of get like almost addicted to the like negative, like they confuse toxic back and forth with chemistry and depth. So like
I think they would go both ways. Yeah.
No, I'm saying so like, you know, they'll like he'll go, I'm not saying guys, I'm saying in this like Kaz did.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, we fight and argue and back and forth and make out and then this, and then I'm fighting with my friends to defend her, and then she's fighting with her friends to defend me. And there's kind of this almost like bonding that happens through that. Where then when you leave and you're just like flirting with someone, it doesn't feel deep. And that's kind of what I think happened with them, is like it became toxic, but it also became you went through the trenches together and you don't realize that the person actually doesn't make you better, that you don't have a good vibe. And like, even for Micah's sake, as much as I don't like her vibe, it's like, Micah, you want someone that like she'd like get with the other guys in the group and be like, yeah, well, he's the worst and he's this and he's that and he's this, and then at first sight of him coming back being like, why aren't you with me? You know what I mean? It was like,
yeah, even when they reunited,
what a toxic vibe.
Even when they reunited on the boat, I did note, like, obviously they were laughing about certain things, but it did right away become like, well, I can't trust you. It was nothing
but well, you're the worst and I can't trust you. And he'd be like, well, you know, we can make this work. I don't know. It was just such a negative, bad vibe. And the reason I think why I'm so triggered too is because I've had friends like this that are in these
Yeah.
type of relationships. And it just, I remember just being like, should we say something? And then anyone who would say anything would get like
cut out of the
of the friendship. And then you're like, oh my God, okay. True sign of like, people are always going to end up with who they want to be with. It doesn't matter. They'll deny and ignore all bad vibes and all bad red flags, everything. It's just, yeah, that was just a bummer of a vibe.
Yeah, no, it really was. But I think when it comes to Kaz, I think he's the vibe that I got from him. The whole Nigel thing at the end was weird, and I hated that.
That felt spliced.
Did it?
Yeah, they cut out something that led to that. Like maybe Kaz and him were going back and forth about Christina or something like that. Christine, yeah. But like, because it felt like out of nowhere, he's like if I was Micah, I would have been pissed because I would have been like, why are you basically
I wrote
so
that
obsessed
down. I'd
with
be like,
Christine wanted me, but she chose you because she couldn't get me. That feels like you still want Christine. So like, it felt so
I don't know, because when he said it, everyone looked pretty shocked. It did feel like it came out of nowhere.
But what did Nigel do to him? Like, why would there was no beef? They were totally
I know.
cool.
That's why I'm like, I did not like that at all. That was
if
like,
that was
what
actually
the
what
heck?
happened. That's crazy town.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't cut together in a weird way, and that's actually the turn of events, that's crazy. But yeah, his behavior as it kept going got worse and worse and worse and worse, and it was so like, even the fact that like he was all in on Christine, he was making out with her in between each other's legs the night before, and then wakes up in the morning when she finds out she's going to go on a date, and then runs over to Michael.
Well,
like,
that
even
was
just
the
all that
interesting
behavior
thing
is crazy.
that was the interesting thing with Christine, is that she said when he ended up ending things with her and went to Micah instead, she was like, the fact that the only reason you're doing this is because you had time alone was interesting. Because I do agree with her. I don't think he would have done that if they would have stayed in the house together the whole time.
100%.
But you could tell that he wasn't vibing with her right before she left. They were like starting to argue with each other. It didn't feel, also, you know, when he did ask her to match, it was in like the heat of him being frustrated. And I do think, personally, so we saw Kaz with Britton, we saw Kaz with Holly, and we saw Kaz with Christine. I think Britton was the one he liked the most, which is weird to me why that didn't end. At least seeing them conversationally, Britton and Kaz were like two kids giggling in a candy shop. The second that they sat down, he was like flustered, giggling, laughing, and every time they'd sit down together,
they had real chemistry.
I actually felt like the two of them could have been a really good match.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, when we had the final voting, you know, Christine came for Kaz. She told him that he best date the devil instead, which was
I was like, you guys hung out for a day. That's a little much.
It was a lot. I was like, the devil.
The devil.
But Christine, or excuse me, Britton, I felt like came in and said, like, it's almost like she was able to read him more, where she said, you know, I don't fault you for exploring, because that's what this process is about. It's the fact, though, that you don't know what you want.
Yes.
And so that then confused me. It confused Micah, Holly, and Christine. So now you left 4 women in your wake that you really confused because you don't know what you want. And I felt like that was actually quite perceptive. Yeah. But then there was the whole drama, by the way, with the Britton of everything, where so Micah and Kaz end up setting up a date after they win the ropes challenge.
Yes.
Which the ropes challenge, they said that this was going to show if you're compatible. I'll just say this. It would show that you and I are apparently not compatible, because me giving you directions, I can't even have a Google map and give you directions. You and I would have failed that so miserably.
It was the opposite of compatibility. It was like, how good are these women at directions? Like, that's really what it was, because it was just like, why does compatibility have to do with knowing
through, like, what I mean, it was
you know what it was just, how good are these women at navigating knots, untangling knots. How good are these women at working on a boat?
I was gonna say, who's the best sailor?
Who's the best sailor? Who's the best beginner sailor? That was what this was. Or how good are these people at giving instruction?
I'm like, clearly I couldn't be a teacher nor a sailor.
Wait, who won again?
Micah and
That
Kaz.
makes sense. Because she's so like, she's always giving instruction to him. So it makes sense. Perfect. They're like, we're built for this.
But because of that, they ended up winning, and they
Yeah.
sent Steven on a date with Britton, and they sent Alara on a date with Nigel. Britton ends up coming back, and her and Kaz are vibing. Micah's got her eyeballs on it. And it becomes a full-blown sabotage plan where Britton and Elise are talking. And Elise is like, I'm going to get my final revenge on Micah. And is like, Nigel, go distract Micah. It was pretty scandalous.
It was super scandalous. And I got to say, imagine being in a couple where the entire group wants to break you guys
I know,
up. Like,
that's
that's crazy. But it was diabolical to be like, okay, Kaz is talking to Britton. Now,
Go,
Nigel, go. Get in there. And then, you
And
know.
Nigel was like,
And
whatever. I don't.
Clambake was just like, where's Kaz doing right now? I don't like what he's doing. Why is he talking to her? And like even Nigel couldn't cut through it. He's like, but you're pretty cute. I always thought you were cute. She's like, what? No, Kaz, what's he doing? And it was just like, oh my God. Like you can only get Kaz. You can't get Micah. Once Micah has it, she's like, get away from me. It's always that too. It's always like, he's the worst. Where is he? That was basically her messaging the whole show. Where is he?
But I felt for Kaz because they then said to Micah that Kaz had not mentioned her. And I went back and watched it, and he did. When he was talking to Britton, he did mention Micah.
Yeah.
Now, granted, were they flirting?
Yeah.
Sure. But they then accused Kaz, which then Nigel communicated. It became so dramatic to Micah that Kaz was like not mentioning her. And then Micah got upset and like comes for Kaz. And then Kaz reacted to the group. And I did feel for Kaz in that moment because in that moment, at that point, you know what? It's almost like that was the levee that broke him. Because then all of a sudden he sat down alone with Britton and then started getting more like, hello.
Yeah.
It was almost like the levee that broke him was all the people talking shit about him that wasn't true. Like he's flirting and he's not talking about you. And then he had a whole group of people kind of trying to break up their relationship and say that Kaz was being scandalous by not mentioning Micah, and it just wasn't the case. So that almost kind of felt like the infinite.
Yeah, I think it was a couple things too. It was the everyone against him, which then drove him into Micah's arms. That was kind of the vibe
because then he ran to her and matched up.
Right. So it was kind of
And
like
you didn't get to know Britton more.
it was like
He was talking to Britton.
if everyone would have been more like, yo, what up? Cool. Like make them feel better, make him feel good and accepted in the group, then I feel like he could have maybe gone down that road. But because he felt like Micah did an incredible job of kind of poisoning everyone against them.
Yeah.
So that they're on an island alone.
Yeah. True.
Right? She
Yeah.
kind of was always like talking about how bad of a guy he was, but then going after him.
Yeah.
So then everyone was like, this is horrible. And then it kind of made everyone interested in breaking them up, which then kind of made them go, well, no one's on either of our side. I guess we have each other, which was really interesting.
Because I do feel like if Britton would have, because he was sitting with her and he was pretty locked in.
No, big time.
And then, and Britton was pulling some bachelor moves. She kept interrupting them, going like, can I steal him for a second?
Yep.
And then Micah just then kept coming up and being like, we need to talk.
Fresh clams on sale.
so then I do think that is true because it was like the tension then like brought them back together, and it was
Big
like
time.
everyone against him, and
Yes.
he doesn't want to be alone in the house. And interesting. Okay, I have a few more things to say about them, but we got to take one more quick pause. Family, listen up. If the summer heat has you worrying about the strength of your deodorant, I hear you all. Okay. I have gotten stinkier in the last year and a half. I think it's a gift of age. I think that's what it is. Love that. Thank you, age. And I would be concerned if I hadn't recently found and started using Lumi, my favorite deodorant. It's a whole body deodorant, and it's formulated for all the places that tend to get stinky when that weather warms up, like your pits, privates, and your feet. I put my Lumi all over, especially for me personally. It's in the pits, the under boobs, the thigh folds, and the feet. And new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code and link. Use code MOMDAD at LumiDeodorant.com.
And not only does it go where other deodorants don't, it's also just outrageously effective. One application in the morning is clinically proven to block out odor all day, even in this heat. Skies out, thighs out. Lumi has you covered with up to 72 hours of odor control. It's also baking soda free, paraben free, and pH balanced for safe use below the belt. You can choose from a variety of fresh, bright scents like clean tangerine, lavender sage, or toasted coconut, my personal favorite.
And after many requests, they have officially formulated a new product to keep you smelling fresh and help you stay drier. Lumi Whole Body Deodorant plus sweat control, the same 72-hour odor control, now with 72-hour sweat control. Oh my gosh, I am so happy about this. Mama is saying goodbye to these sweat stains. Hello, so happy. And let me tell you, Lumi's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, which I love, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. And as a special offer for our listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code. And if you combine that 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off their starter pack. Amazing. Use code MOMDAD for 15% off your first purchase at LumiDeodorant.com. That's code MOMDAD at LumiDeodorant.com. Code MOMDAD at LumiDeodorant.com. Okay, what I did want to finish up by saying is that I did feel, to Kaz's credit, when he was on the boys' day where the women show up and he meets Christine, and Christine is literally a supermodel.
And laying it on.
And
thick.
Yeah. And this woman is a literal supermodel.
Yeah.
And she wants to be with Kaz, and he has her and a audience of men cheering him on to kiss her, which again, if I was Micah, I'd be like, are you guys kidding me? Like, you guys hate me that much that you're just like cheering Kaz on to kiss someone while I'm not there. But they were cheering him on, and to Kaz's credit, he did not break.
Yes.
At that point, he didn't break. He ended
also,
up,
to Kaz's credit, he by far had the most temptation.
There
was like
the most
5 girls.
There were like
coming at him full force the whole
there were
time.
numerous women who absolutely had their eyes set on Kaz. I mean, I get it.
Yes.
He's gorgeous. He's charming.
So he was the most tempted. Like, he had the most.
And he did have a lot of women who were just like, you're my number one pick.
Big time.
And so to his credit, there were many times where he did not go farther than certain limits.
Yes.
You know, there were still I guess technically you're not in a relationship, but some of the hands all over, I still would have not been thrilled with.
For sure.
But yeah, I do have to say that. And ultimately, Micah and Kaz, they do go to the finale together. They didn't win. They had people who were speaking up, for instance, like Christine, about their relationship, who were not, after seeing all of the chaos that they had gone through, they were like, absolutely not.
Yeah, they were together, but by far the least liked couple. It seemed like.
Yeah,
you know
by
what I
a mile.
mean? Like, because they were just like generally had like but bummed everyone out.
Yeah.
And so everyone was
the
just
people
like,
were not fans of them
no.
together. And another one.
The girls hated Kaz, the guys hated her.
Yes.
So it literally was like both sides were like,
they were
ew.
not vibing. And they didn't stay together. I don't think she ever made him those pizza rolls that she was talking about.
He definitely didn't fly over on his birthday.
I mean, maybe he did, but
Maybe.
I don't think that they lasted long.
No, there's no way. No way.
And
Yeah.
by the way, from everything that I've heard, and we'll talk about this now in a moment about Steven and Alara, but from everything I've heard, and that's been hinted at by some of the women on social media, it was a situation where the men couldn't stop menning, where the eyes were wandering,
Sure.
where I think with Micah and Kaz, there was an alleged kiss with another cast member. There were just the men, all these guys, like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, the guys,
it was
get
definitely
the fuck out of here.
like
these dudes.
I'm trying to think of all the women, and I'm trying to go, who was like maybe the biggest kind of like open to play? and it was Alara, I think, kind of was the original kind of like hard to pin down. Steven was
we'll talk about that.
Right.
Yeah.
But overall, the women were like shockingly very down for like a serious relationship. And all the men were definitely like players will play energy.
The men were scum lords. Okay, let's just put it.
This is kind of where I come back to like men and really good looks. Tough marriage. You know what I mean? Like a good, like, listen, here's the thing. These guys are like 10s. And I think when a guy is a 10, it's like too much. It's like absolute power corrupts. I do think when a guy is too good looking, they're like, they're like, you're giving a 10-year-old a license to drive. They're just like, I'm going off the rails here. I have no self-control. I don't know how to handle attention. You know what I mean? So it was just like, that's probably what it was to me. It was like guys who are just used to getting all the attention they want, and they're not used to going, wait, I got to say no to something. That was the energy of all the guys on this cast.
It was.
Except our boy Izzy.
Yeah, and you know what?
He was sweet boy.
And Justin seemed like a pretty solid guy too.
Justin too. We'll talk about that.
And
Poor guy
Justin
got
is
absolutely
quite beautiful.
Incredibly good looking. That was interesting. That was interesting. He did go against my theory here, but yeah.
There are some good ones out there.
Of course.
Who are like yourself, who are very attractive.
Oh, that's very sweet, babe.
I'm so romantic.
Yeah,
now.
you are so romantic.
But I mean, some of these guys though, like the level of now, and also then seeing the behind the scenes of like the guys knew that Harry actually had kissed Melinda, and all these guys trying to be like, he's she's in it for clout. It's like, get out of here, dudes. Okay. No,
it was bro code.
Goodbye
vibes.
to all of you and your bro code. But yeah, ultimately Micah and Kaz did not end up working out. Now, Micah and Kaz, after they won the rope challenge, brought in, like I said, Britton for Steven.
Yeah.
And they brought in Nigel for Alara. Now, we had known, let's talk about Steven and Alara now. We had known that Britton was Steven's type, and we know that Nigel is Alara's type. And so this was a gameplay. Micah, by the way, I said it earlier, could go on Traders. She's a gamer.
Yes.
Micah's a gamer.
I completely agree.
She's a smart girl. She's got some serious game. Like, she could do Big Brother. She could do Traders. Like, she's good at this.
Yes.
And she was like, we're going to mess up the strongest couple here. And Steven and Britton have their date. It seems to go well. Nigel and Alara seems to go well. But then when they are all reunited back at the home, we have an interesting turn of events where when Alara hears that they had a nice time, runs off crying to the bathroom.
Yes.
Okay. This is what I want to say about Alara.
Okay.
I relate to gorgeous Alara. But like I felt like I related to her in this way. I don't get serious. Now, I know that probably sounds like I'm talking out of my ass because you and I have been together for, however many years.
Yeah.
But even like growing up and then dating when we were broken up, I just am not somebody, I'm just not somebody who I'm like all about, I love flirting, I love playing, going out on dates, doing the whole thing. But like for me to actually like someone, like someone, I never was somebody who had a lot of crushes, like ever. I've had like 2 crushes in my life, like actual crushes, because I just don't actually start to feel often. And in that way, I related to her because as soon as she actually started liking Steven,
she jumps in the deep end.
She is jealous.
It was really interesting to watch her transform because in the beginning, Steven was the chaser.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like, which is like, I felt like every other couple in there was like, the guys are running around. The girls are like, why is he running around? It was the opposite. Alara was like, I'm here for not a long time, but a good time. Steven was like, I got to find a way to get this girl to like me.
Yeah.
He fought, I will say, valiant effort. He was doing many romantic moments and things and meals and glampings and all these different things.
The producers must have loved him.
And once he got her, she was all in.
Yeah.
She gave her full self to him and seemed so sweet and just like, you know, she went from the one who I was like, oh, she's gonna be tough to get, and then then you saw her for real personality, and she became super lovey and sweet and dedicated and all this, and then they both were, you know what I mean?
But where I'm saying I relate is that I'll go from like, I'm the type of person where, for instance, maybe a good friend of mine would go out on a bunch of dates and maybe feel a little bit attached. I'm like, I'll go on and I don't feel attached at all. They don't call me back. I don't give a shit. Like I'm just that way. But then when I start to like somebody, the jealousy comes out, and I relate to that. And that's then when you and I fell in love with you, and then I was a very
she reminded
jealous
me of
person. And so I'm like that I related. Then when all of a sudden she had that moment later where the spin the bottle game happened, and Steven, who's always very playful and flirty, is like, Elise says, let's play spin the bottle. He's like, really? Runs and grabs the bottle, and she literally walks away and is like, you want to go kiss other women?
And she would have definitely been the one early on to do that move.
100%.
Like early on, she would have been the one that would have been like, let's play spin the bottle, and he would have been like, what?
And like a day before, she was doing her splits and like covering her vag and doing her whole thing, and she's a playful girl.
Playful.
But she then even in ITM said, if my partner hugs someone else, I'm pissed. So I'm like, I felt her in that, where it's like, it's the type of person where you never give your heart away. You don't
open up, and when
you
do,
also don't often find people that you like really like. But when you do, it's like, I'm locked in and I'm going to get jealous and I really am attached to you.
Yes.
Which is why I think, and we'll talk about it, but ultimately when they didn't work out, I can guarantee you Steven, Wandering Eye, Alara was in. Like, I do not think I would bet a lot of money that Alara was like locked and ready to do this.
I think so too.
And do a long distance relationship.
There's no question that he is not used to having to chase. You know, he's a player. A lot of girls like him, a good looking guy, charming, all that stuff. I think he found a chase. I think he went after it. I think he got bored. That's what I think. I think he's so used to kind of like dating and playing around and all that stuff that what happened is over time, she fully dedicated herself to him. And then him being Mr. Player kind of just was like on to the next vibe. That was what, you know what I mean? Because everyone said before, like, because he was a totally different person on screen. He was like this dedicated boyfriend.
Yeah.
Never eyes even got for 1 second. Like she was way more flirty with Nigel than he was with Britton on the date. Like he was very dedicated.
Which, by the way, can we talk for one moment about how when she walked away crying and he sat down with her and he goes, okay, well, I got to be honest with you.
It's the most me thing ever.
Dude.
That was so me.
And it got me so mad because it was...
We kissed. And then she's like, oh my God, he's like, and that never happened. Like that was I was like, that is some shit I would have done to you.
100%. And it absolutely got me so angry watching it because I was like, this is what Evan would do. But... that got me when he said that and he's like, we kissed, because I fully believed it.
I went back and I was like, did I miss something?
Well, no, I knew that I hadn't seen it, but I was like, oh, they didn't really show us much of Steven and Britton's date.
Very
it was
basic
very
and quick.
brief. We never even saw them sit down, have a drink together, which I'm sure they did. I'm like, we didn't see anything. And then when he showed back up at home, he was a little bit like, I couldn't read what he was feeling.
Yes.
If he was nervous because of Alara or because him and Britton had kissed. And so when he was like, yeah, we kissed, I was like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. And he's like, I'm joking. That was wild.
Yeah. But it was interesting. Yeah. It was really, I mean, I felt like they had the biggest fighting chance by far because they spent so much time working on it. And then once they got into it deep, they not one moment of looking away from the other person, flirting, nothing. They were just dedicated all the way. Also,
just as like an outside viewer,
crazy chemistry.
They were so stinking cute together.
Unbelievably cute together.
Their chemistry, their energy, their playfulness together was electric. And you could see that they lit the house on fire in a good way. Like if they wouldn't have been there.
They made each other better too, because they were like very playful and they were like, let's all hang out together.
And if they wouldn't have been there, the house would have felt quite sleepy.
They were very joyful and fun.
They brought a joyful energy.
Playful,
She's doing a fashion show with all the different, he's like, yes, baby. I mean, they were so cute together.
So cute together.
I can't lie. I knew it was going to happen because of him, because he's a playboy.
Yeah. He went out with Harry.
I'm sure
they went out in the town. He had to sorry.
They like came right off of Perfect Match and they were like, oh God,
well, I had a boyfriend last night. Yeah.
And he's like, the cage was lonely and empty and you're on the other side of the world.
Exactly.
But I was bummed about that. And they didn't end up winning.
And to be honest with you, the only reason, in my opinion, why they didn't win was just people in toxic relationships being annoyed at them for having a good relationship. That's the vibe. Because it was like, listen, Nigel and Christine seemed to be incredibly vibey together, but they'd known each other for 3 hours. And so to not vote...
Steven and Alara should have won.
To not vote Steven and Alara, who had been together since like episode 2 and never had one bad situation, been connected the whole time. To not vote them is clearly like a...
No, I don't even know if it's that so much as like the large group of people who never really were in the villa became friends because they were spending time together.
Yeah.
And so it was like, oh, I got to know Christine. I got to know Nigel.
Yeah.
We love them both. So
Sure.
they got one more vote
Right.
than Steven and Alara. So I bet in the house, everyone voted for Steven and Alara. And then the people who didn't really know them because they never got a chance
Yeah.
to know them. Think about that. If you're not in the house, you don't get a chance to know
And even if you're
their
in the
relationship.
house, you never got to flirt or be a vibe with them. So they were just this couple in the corner.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So probably
guess.
it's like almost half and half the people who never really spent time in the house, and the people who never really spent time in the house probably voted for Christine and Nigel because they got to know them the best.
And you brought this
So-
up earlier before the podcast, which I thought was a really good point. They probably thought to themselves, we all know who Steven really is. He's a player. Something's going to happen with them. Christine and Nigel seem like a good couple. Let's give them the trip
Yeah.
so that they can maybe blossom into something.
Yeah. I think it was an interesting moment when in the finale, Xanthi, who obsessed with.
Love Xanthi. How did she not get
Dude.
a sniff of a relationship?
Dude, Xanthi is, I'm obsessed with her. When she said, I'm not coming for your man, so don't take it that way. But all I'll say is that I hope you enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah.
Which is a big thing coming out of Xanthi's mouth because I feel like she tends to, at least what we've seen,
She's pretty,
be pretty wise,
like, I'm
hands
not
off.
trying to play
But it was a
anything
little
here.
bit like, Alara, just so you know I can tell you how he is and enjoy it while it lasts because
Yes.
it's not going to last long.
100%.
But that all felt kind of devastating to me because I did like actually really like them together. But I will tell you, when he went on his date with Britton and talked about how he has many motorcycles and he had a toothpick in his mouth the entire time, and then we find out later on him and Alara's final date that he is a DJ, I was like, it's a little too much.
Yeah, it's too
The
much.
aesthetic is too
The bad boy
aestheticing.
player aesthetic is
The bad
way
boy
too much.
aesthetic is, I mean, listen, is he covered in tattoos? Yes. And do we say, does that matter? No. But then you're adding, he's covered in tattoos. He's got numerous motorcycles. He has a toothpick in his mouth the entire time and he's a DJ. This man's life is about trying to appear fuckable.
100%. And let me just
He
say
is
this
trying
as
to
someone
be
who works
the
in the
ultimate
music industry.
fucklord.
DJ is by far the worst thing you could have on your resume if you're trying to be a serious dater.
Oh, that's the one that's just.
Oh my God. DJs
so that's the one,
are
stay away.
notorious party playboys.
Okay.
Because think about how the
Good to know
job.
for the family.
Think about how their job starts.
Sure.
Oh, I go to parties and play music. Not I'm in a band even, and I create music and write songs. No, I started my career playing Spotify at parties and getting invited to the best ones. And then over time, I started working on music and stuff. But the idea is party.
Yeah.
Like their existence. No one ever is like, I don't party, I'm a DJ. It's built into the name. Clubs, late night, alcohol.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's literally what they do for a living. So
Yeah.
it's really hard to find like this,
A
like down to
faithful-
earth, chill, faithful DJ.
I'm just saying the
So
look, which
Yeah.
I love. Okay. Obviously, he was the guy who I said first off, I'd be
Yeah.
like, I know this is the wrong choice, but I'd go for him right away. But the look with the toothpick, with the numerous motorcycles, with the DJ career, I mean,
I'm kind of like, and
he's
you know,
gonna probably be sleeping with, well, like you said, 100 plus people, which I'm sure is.
I'm kind of, to be honest with you too, like, I apologize to anyone out there who has motorcycles, but I'm kind of because I have quite a few friends who ride motorcycles.
Yeah, I was like, be careful there. A lot
I'm
of your
kind of
besties
starting
have
to
motorcycles.
think now
Yeah.
that unless you were an outlaw or you rode dirt bikes as a kid and you're like you know what I mean? You're like a guy or you love just like working on bikes and it's like you're a mechanical person. If you just own a motorcycle to drive around, I look at it literally as the same thing as like, you know, I basically look at it as a purely aesthetic thing. Like you just riding around on this thing that's severely uncomfortable.
Very dangerous.
You're exposed
so
to
dangerous.
the elements, and it's insanely dangerous. And you're just driving around the streets on it. It's purely aesthetic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're just trying to look cool. And that's really, it's like smoking cigarettes when you're 15 or something. You're just trying to fit in with somebody.
And listen, shout out, it looks hot. Like, sure. A good looking
Does it look hot to you?
Oh, okay, let me tell you this.
First of all, you would never let me ride a motorcycle.
No, absolutely not. It's so dangerous.
So you won't let me be hot.
Let me say this. A beautiful woman on a motorcycle is the hottest thing I've ever seen.
No, I didn't say that. I was talking about the guys.
I know, but I'm talking about my bisexuality is letting you know.
But I'm just talking about
a beautiful woman on a motorcycle is like.
No, I understand that.
I mean, that is wild.
Right. But a
guy on a motorcycle, yeah, it's hot. Like it's a look, it's an aesthetic, but it's so dangerous. And do I want my partner be personally? No, because it's too dangerous to me.
Yeah.
It's again the aesthetic, the safety outweighs the aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's just
Okay. Maybe I'm just hating on it because I'm not allowed to do it, you guys.
If you really want to, you can.
No,
but
I can't do it. I can't do it.
It's just
too dangerous, man. I like everyone I know who rides motorcycles. It's so sketchy, and they always end up crashing.
It's a little
somehow.
triggering for me
like,
personally because I've had some, whatever.
But anyway, it's like,
anyway.
Yeah.
But that's Steven and Alara.
There you go.
So that was sad, and they're not together, and they didn't win. And,
I knew they wouldn't be, but I was really hoping when I looked it up that I'd still stay together somehow, some way.
But we knew that
they're too young. If they were like 35 and doing all this, maybe. But they're like 25 years old, dude. Like living the DJ, fast-paced reality TV life. It's like the chances are.
I'm really happy that this show introduced me to Alara though, because I just love her so much.
She's like if you were British.
Well, that's a high compliment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, she's extremely charming.
Thank you.
And she's all in once she.
I so appreciate your compliment, but it also makes me feel weird because I was just saying how much I love her. I'm like, am I just being like, oh, I love me?
Maybe I think that's a little bit of everything. We find to like, we tend to kind of see people in ourselves or them, and then we go, oh, I like that. I'm connected to that. You know what I mean?
Anywho. All right, let's talk about Elise, Justin, and then Brighton. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So Elise is with Justin, and from the get, I was like, I don't know about Justin, but at least from what we saw from this show, I gotta stand by the fact that, like we said earlier, he seems like a good dude.
Yeah, he came in a little awkward.
Yeah, and I think he is maybe not like Mr. Guy at the bar who can like entertain 15 people. He's very one-on-one.
He looks like that guy.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think he's a little awkward. He's a little professional. He's almost hits me like a career guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like a tech guy who's kind of like in the business, but he's not like Mr. Player, but he looks like a player. So your brain is confused.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, my biggest thing here, my biggest takeaway is that Elise hated Harry so much because Elise is Harry. Like her energy is like she did the exact same thing to Justin that Harry did to her.
It was so funny.
She matched up with Brighton before she even had a conversation with Justin. Like she didn't come over to Justin and be like, hey, I'm feeling this way, this way, this way. I'm kind of connecting with Brighton. I feel like I need to kind of pursue that. I'm going to go talk to him right now, blah, blah. It was just matched up with Brighton, then walked over and goes, hey, so interesting thought here. You're dead. You know what I mean? And then he goes, what blindsided him?
Yeah.
It wasn't even like they had a bunch of ups and downs. It was just like Harry did to her. Like out of nowhere, chose Jess, left her behind.
You mentioned, because we were watching the episode separately, and you mentioned that to me, that she pulled a Harry. And I was like, it's funny, I didn't even put that together, but you're so right. She did like almost the exact same thing. Like her and Justin were coasting. He was telling her about how he was so into her, how she's like his perfect match. And, I didn't feel like
they didn't have really good chemistry.
No, and I didn't feel like she was like serving him like plates full of lies where she was like, I'm super into you. Right. She was kind of like, well, hold up.
She was kind of writing it out.
Yeah, but the way then that she ended it was so out of nowhere for Justin.
Because it was the same thing that happened to same exact thing that happened to Harry. Harry was like down for Elise, but you could tell it wasn't like that into her. And then when he came in that he was really into, like swept him off his feet vibes with Jess, he's like, bye. And Elise did the exact same. Justin was always kind of there. They were like, even in the beginning, she's like, yeah, no, there's no chemistry, but he was trying. Maybe he's growing on me. And then Brighton came in, immediate chemistry, and really into him. And then she was like, bye. And did the exact same thing. And I was like, no wonder why you were so mad and not just heartbroken. Like, you weren't heartbroken with Harry. You were pissed.
Yeah. And a shout out to Justin, by the way, too.
I loved what he did.
The fact that he got up and left.
He didn't, and I like that he didn't do the whole, let's talk about it. He goes, you already dissed me. You already burned me. I don't need to now spend 30 minutes while you justify yourself to me.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah. And he walked out and he was done. And the fact that Justin didn't stay and try to make a play for anyone last minute it showed me that he actually really liked, he really liked Elise.
And
he wasn't like, oh, okay, well, here's a couple single potential options. And it's the same thing that he did with Holly the night that he ended up connecting with Elise or matching with Elise. Holly was trying to get to him and find him. He didn't even talk to her. And he ended up speaking to her for a few minutes at the boys thing, but it was very appropriate. It wasn't, whatever. Was it a little cringy? Yes. Was he a little awkward? Yes. Did he say he was like a lit major and couldn't give her a book? Yes.
Yes.
The fact that he walked out
he's like, ooh, it's hard. I love them all.
And you're like,
you know what I mean? I love them all. It'd be like if you were trying to, like if you met a girl who's really Christian and then she's like, well, what's your favorite Bible verse? And he's like, all the Bible. The whole Bible's great. Yeah. The whole story is my favorite. I can't pick a favorite.
God is good. I gotta pick the whole
I love
thing.
God.
But yeah, that showed me that he actually really liked Elise a lot, and then he didn't show up to the finale,
which shows that he was tweaked.
That could have been that he had other things that he couldn't be there for, but I'm assuming it's because he
also
did not.
showed that he wasn't there for like the look, like the clout of like. He seemed like a guy who was just kind of like, my friends put me up to this kind of energy.
And if he would have been cloudy, he would have tried to stay in the game.
He would have stayed in the game just like Micah did. Micah got burned and then was like, Izzy, let me use you to kind of stick around.
And Elise did it too.
100%.
She got burned and she's like, Chris, we're friends.
100%.
Let's, connect. So she ended up coupling up with Brighton, who shows up on the girls' day where he comes back, and Brighton is trouble with a capital T, honey.
He's a drama. Like he was immediately just like telling Micah that like Kaz isn't really into you. He was walking around. He was like drama starter.
And then he runs to Kaz and he's like, by the way, Micah
she's not into you. Yeah. I mean, it was like, bro, he was
drama.
And he was always standing around, like, especially when it was like the Casa Amor vibes when the guys came in. He was like always just talking to everyone, being like, oh, I don't know about her. I don't know about that. I don't know about this. I'm like, he was big gossipy. He's drama.
And also he was like, I'm going to either get Micah or Elise.
Yes.
These are the two options. He played it like he was attracted to both of them. As a viewer, you heard him in ITMs being like, I'm into both of them, but you're also like, I don't know what to believe. And then he also, there's the piece of knowing him from Squid Game where you're like, this is a powerful player. Yeah. He is the type of guy who's like, I will play to win regardless of what it takes. And so he was dragging Micah along and was just like, it's me and you, it's me and you. And then once he got back to the house was like, oh, it's going to happen with Micah. Micah gets distracted for 2 seconds because Kaz is making out with Holly. And then Elise pulls Brighton and Brighton's like, yeah, let's connect.
I don't think Brighton was into either of them.
I don't think so either.
I honestly think that.
Or he might have been into both.
Whatever,
he's like, yeah, I'm down. I think they're both
like
hot.
They would at like girls at a bar or something.
Yeah,
but there was no actual connection. I think Elise was actually into him.
Oh yeah.
Big time.
Big time.
And I think he was just using them to play the game.
I think so
I didn't
too.
see any actual emotion out of him that suggested he was actually into them.
No, he like, the only thing that we kind of heard him talk about is like climbing her like a tree every day. I'm like, yeah, you're down because you think she's hot to like hook up with her. Yeah. But like, where's...
That's also what Melinda said.
To Harry.
Oh, I'll climb that tree. It was funny. It was like, is this a thing? Like the climbing of the tree.
All these tall people. Yeah. Everyone's like, I'm going to climb you like a tree.
Yeah, that's funny.
But no, he is trouble. And he came in and he ruffled feathers.
Big time.
And then at the final ceremony, when Dominique had a moment, lived for this moment, where she looked at Elise and she's like, I think that you tend to choose egotistical men. Oh. And that was like some psychic shit. Because it was like, Elise, you went from Harry and then you went to Brighton. And these are two men, very different, but
big egos.
Ego, playing a game, doing what they want.
I love when it was so funny when Steven burned Elise.
Or you mean burned Harry? Well, Harry and Elise kind of.
Because Elise goes, the reason why I wasn't into him in the beginning was because he was giving off like fuckboy vibes. And
he's like, Brighton, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, so you went with Harry, who's like the final boss of fuckboys? Like, it was like, don't give us your BS here.
Yeah,
you liked Harry, he burned you. You know what I mean? Like, don't.
Let's be real. Harry is more of a fuckboy, and Harry's more of a fuckboy, and Brighton is more of a game player.
Yes, 100%.
So Brighton's in it for the game. Harry's in it to play.
Because even the way that Brighton was like playing the game early, it was very gossip. Let me get these people against these two people. Let me create division here. That's games versus like Harry's just like, I want to fuck everybody.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to say no.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's the difference. Brighton wasn't giving, I want to fuck everyone. He was giving like, let me see if I can create division and destruction here. Yeah.
So they're in the final. Obviously, they did not win. Yeah. And wrapping it up, I saw an article that it looked like right out of Mexico, she was like, hell no. It was toxic.
Yeah.
They hit hard waters fast. It didn't leave Mexico. And then I saw him in some like quote from an interview where he was like, I don't fucking care about any of you. Fuck the viewers. Fuck the other contestants. Like, I do what I want. I'm a game player. And he's like, I'm a Christian. And if you guys don't get it, like, yeah.
Is this Chris?
No.
Oh, you're still talking about Brighton. Oh, I thought you had moved on for some reason. Got it. Yeah. Oh, weird. Yeah, I didn't know that.
And it was like, I'm a Christian. Fuck all of you. And I was like,
I'm a Christian. Fuck all of you. What a great line. It's almost like I'm going to heaven, so I can do whatever I want from here till then.
He's like, I don't care about any of you. So that was wild. But speaking of Chris, let's talk Chris and Tolu.
This is the great mystery to me. This was the great mystery. Tolu and Chris. Tolu is such a lover.
I know.
She even said, I've had sex with like two people. Like she was like,
yeah,
she's like, I've had sex with one. She's like, it'll be on one hand and I wouldn't finish all the fingers. So basically she's had only a couple people that she's hooked up with, probably boyfriends. She gives like,
she's
fun,
wifey,
flirty, like vibes, but like never ends up hooking up with people. And
she's wifey.
She's wifey big time. And the fact that she gave Chris a real shot, like she's just so sweet. And I feel like Chris was the biggest confuser to me, where like it was scene by scene. I'd watch a scene and be like, whoa, he's really genuinely into her. And then the next scene I'd be like, he's completely using her to just stay on the show. And every scene I couldn't decide if he was genuinely into her or if he wasn't into her. So it started with the whole like, the Casa Amor situation.
Yeah, the boys trip.
And him,
the boys time.
Yeah, the boy. I think it was called like the boys mixer. It was just so weird. But it was like the boys mixer. And who was he talking to when Xanthi, when he's like, yeah, I want to, I definitely haven't been able to explore my options and I really want to explore my options. And then when he gets cornered by it, he does the most like player guy thing and kind of like makes it sound ridiculous. He goes like, well, yeah, because I'm with you, I'm not able to explore my options. And that's what I like. And it was like, okay, you got caught saying some shit.
No, and he was floating around at the boys mixer being like, I do regret it to a certain extent because I do want to like meet more people. Yeah. And then when he came on to Xanthi, I forget exactly what he said, but he said some really out of pocket shit out of nowhere where he's just like, oh, you and I would kind of just be like, he said something like,
we would just hook up.
We would just hook up and be done. And
she's
she was like,
what? Like I like how the one thing I will say
that was, by the way, that's insane. That's insane to say to somebody, yeah, you and I give me the energy that we just fuck and then we'd walk away. It's like, what?
So one of my favorite things about Chris is that he lives in Bizarro Land in a world that no one else lives in.
He lives on an island.
He lives in a world where he is like a combination of, he's got Harry's height. He's got Steven's charm. And Harry, like he looks at him as the final boss of attraction.
Yeah.
And like he's got everything, but he's also a good guy and he's not going to cheat. Like he looks at himself as just like the center of the universe. So like he'll say things to Xanthi being like, oh yeah, just I know us. You'll just want to bang me and I'll get rid of it. And like, it's like, dude, no one said that stuff. And he even walked in from day one of being like, I'm a big player. Everyone loves me. Every girl is obsessed with me. And there was no one really into him at all.
Also, when he chose Elise and sent Xanthi home instead. Xanthi
Yes.
and Dominique. Remember, he pulled them aside and he was like, Xanthi, I just want to know.
Just let you down easy.
So sorry. And she's like, what?
I don't like you.
He was being for real because
Yeah.
then he sat down with her again. He's like, I know we didn't get able. I know that we weren't able to get to know each other like how he wanted. And she's like, what are you talking?
He's like, I know you guys are fighting over my affection,
No,
but I'm
he
going to have to
lives-
let you
he
guys down.
lives on a different planet.
He really does.
And I think that's the thing about him is that I think he's just an idiot. Like he lives on a different planet. And I do think that he like was into Tolu, but he's also into like anyone who will give him attention. So it's like he's not willing to then fully commit or shut it down. Because even when he said to her, number one, at the finale where he said that they'd stay in contact.
Stay in contact was epic.
That is so weird. Or when she was crying, saying like, are you just with me because I was the last option? And he said, no, you weren't like the last option for me.
Right. You're like second to last, which is
That
better
was,
than last.
and the way he said it was like, I hit the deck.
Yeah.
It was like, you're not the last. And I'm like, what?
And maybe there's
is
something charming to
happening?
Tolu about how honest he is.
Maybe.
Because he is incredibly honest.
But he's
in-
also dishonest.
No, in a dumb guy way.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't realize how honest he's being. You know what I mean? Like it's not like he's trying to be smooth,
Yeah.
but he doesn't realize that what he says is extremely rude. And it's like, it's so very strange. He's the mystery to me. Everyone else I could kind of see, like, oh, player, good guy, whatever. He was the guy that I couldn't nail down. I'm like, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Is he dumb? Is he smart? There'd be times when you're like, what? That was a really smart move. 'Cause that was so weirdly honest to where almost like it took down their guard. And then the
Right.
next time he's like the dumbest guy there. And you're like, I can't figure him out.
He was a wonder in not like a wonderful way.
No, and like if I was Tolu,
We tried last episode where I was like, oh, I'm starting to feel it.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of because I was seeing some of the ways that he was treating Tolu. And even when they had their final date, she was crying. Like she was like, he's treated me in a way that I feel seen and beautiful. And that broke my heart because I was like, oh, she's feeling this certain way. And I'm like, Tolu, you could get a literal god. Like you are unbelievable. You're stunning. You're charming. You're funny. You're a great friend. Like people all will be begging to be with you.
Yeah.
Like Chris is mid and he is like get out of here. But he ultimately, I just think he's just like all the rest of them.
Yeah.
He's just a playboy like all the rest of them. He's just a different flavor. He just does it in kind of what way, and he
Yeah.
is not the sharpest tool.
yeah,
But he's just a playboy because ultimately, you know, when Xanthi sat Tolu down and was like, he was coming on to me and said this, and Tolu talks to Chris, and then Chris is like, bring her over. That was a wild
That's
move
what I'm
too.
saying.
Yeah. But it was it's
That's
true.
what I'm saying.
True.
Like there's weird moments like that where it's like Harry ain't doing that. Harry's like, I know I
No.
lied. I'm trying to like manipulate my way out of this. Chris would have these weird moments where it's like, wait, are you telling the truth? Because you're like, let's have a communal
Yeah.
talk over this and put yourself on the chopping block. I'm going, that doesn't seem like a guilty
But then
guy.
he was fully.
It's so
but then she
confusing.
was sitting there, and he was then being fully dishonest. And Xanthi's like, "I'm out of here," because Xanthi goes, "I'm not going to have a
Yeah, so then he
conversation
was
where you're
lying.
blatantly
It was
lying."
So hard to read that guy.
It was bizarre. But, you know, in the moment, my heart was breaking for Tolu
Yeah.
because you were like, oh, what's going down? And but they did end up going to the finale together. They obviously didn't win. And the follow up is that, again, a lot of these women are not like, they're not spilling the tea.
Right.
They're kind of keeping it more private, close to their chest, which I respect. But she was basically like, he is out of my life completely, and I'm glad of it. Like,
Yeah.
it gave he made out with someone the next day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There was one thing that happened. I
or
thought
that
was
he lost my number type
one of the
thing.
funniest things that happened was in the final part when they're all and Dominique goes, you know, you did this and you did this and you lied to me and you burnt me and da 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 da, and he just goes, okay.
And Steven and Laura started dying.
I would have been Steven there because he just goes, okay. He didn't try to defend himself. He didn't do anything. And that's, again, it's another like mystery of Chris where you're like, he didn't lie and say, I didn't do that. He didn't say, I don't care. You're like, he just goes, okay. One of the crazy, like, if you're going to go on reality TV, you should absolutely study Chris because Chris unknowingly and not even by his own knowledge or smartness or volition, has genius moments where you're so confused and you don't know how to be that you just go, oh, maybe he is telling the truth. Like saying to someone after they accuse you of a bunch of bad stuff to go, okay.
It's wild.
It puts you in such a strange vibe where no one knows what to say.
Yeah.
No one knows how to be.
No, Steven was like buckled over.
I was
and
dying
he goes, that's it?
That's incredible. She wanted to start some shit. He just goes, okay. Okay is a crazy thing to say when someone accuses you of something. Not, no, I didn't. Not, well, you're just jealous that me and Tolu have a thing.
Or like, that's your opinion.
That's your opinion? No, okay. It's like you admitted to it and we're fine with it. Which is just, it's like bizarro lands. I gotta say,
true.
as toxic as he is and weird as he is, I kind of love him.
You can't argue with okay.
You can't argue with okay. You're like, he admitted it, but also made you feel insecure about having that opinion.
Vulnerable and putting myself out there. Yeah.
You're like, wait, now why do I care? And you made me feel like, I mean, one of my favorites of just how bizarre he made me feel.
I couldn't even. You and I hated him, and then we were starting to get charmed.
Liked him and then hated him
now
again,
I'm like, I don't know who the hell you are.
We need to study this guy.
Yeah, I need more information.
He is.
Not that I want more information, but I need more information.
Okay is one of the greatest responses to someone
beyond weird
who's mad at you.
Well, shout out to Tolu. I loved her, and she's amazing, and I hope to see her on more reality TV.
She kind of was like if Izzy had more matches. Like she kind of got chewed up and spit out a little bit by this process, and it felt horrible because it was like she's so charming, so sweet, like you said, good friend, like total package, but maybe just isn't built for this type of manipulation.
This is where I wish
people who are really manipulative and it's like that they do well.
This is where I wish sometimes that The Bachelor and Bachelorette would extend to other franchises.
Yeah,
because a Jessica or a Tolu as Bachelorette would be amazing.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, these women they're ready. They're down for love. We've already fallen in love with them on another show.
Yeah, it's true.
And
doesn't have to be,
it doesn't have to just be like, we can go into the Netflix universe. It has a huge viewership. So I'm sure they'd get a ton of applications. That's where I wish there would be some crossover.
Agreed.
You know?
Oh, well, those last episodes did not
Justin
disappoint.
as Bachelor. I mean, we didn't get to know him well enough, and he's
kind
a little
boring,
awkward.
dude.
But
But I guess boring's not bad when you're the Bachelor. When you're the lead, as long as your cast is interesting.
Yeah. But finally, we had Christine and Nigel.
Oh yeah,
who we really didn't get to know that well.
Incredibly good looking together. I mean, they looked like they're AI. You know what I mean? Like if you were just the AI, like two hot people should be together. That's who. They both very charming, both cool. But
and
you know
what? Ultimately, they ended up winning, which again I think was because probably people loved them.
No one was left.
Yeah, no, there's that. But then also, like, you know, people, I think, I think them winning probably goes to show how likable they were to the other people, that it was kind of like, oh, I really like them both as people, so I'm going to vote for them, even though they've been together for like 30 seconds. It was we hit everybody else. You guys seem cool. You win. Yeah, but it definitely was, you know, Nigel came in and had all eyes on Christine. Yeah. He wasn't talking to anybody else. No. He wasn't threatened about the whole Kaz situation. No. And when she had her date with Nigel, at the end of the date, she was like, well, it's kind of a toss-up. I'm trying to figure out who. And then hearing, which, by the way, Micah told her. Micah was like, yeah, by the way, which it's good that she told her, but also I'm like, oh, Micah was just dying to tell Christine that, like, by the way, Kaz is back on to me. Yes. But then... And I will defend my man. That is my man. Like, as in, you mean because 2 seconds ago you were telling everyone how he's the worst? No, Christine literally was like, she was like spitting facts and being like, hey, this is why I'm not okay with him. This is why he was kissing me yesterday. He ended it with you. And even Micah said it, which I did respect Micah for saying. She was like, hey, for him to prove to me that he's good, he needs to respect Christine the way he didn't respect me. Yeah. Which shout out. But then when she was with Christine and Christine was saying all the negative things, she was like, girl, you're so right. And then she ran into Kaz's arms. Micah's all talk. She goes, you know, really valid point. You guys are all right about him. I'm dating him now. You know what I mean? She's all talk. But her and Nigel, they had some sexy dates when they were rolling around. At one point, we didn't see it, but she like pops up and she has like her boobs circled in
Yeah,
paint.
yeah.
And I was like, what is
They were going after it.
And she had a unibrow and a mustache.
She was playful.
Nigel and Christine had the same energy.
Yeah, big time.
They were both like wildly low key, but then also fun.
Yes.
I don't know. They definitely like numerous of the long-term couples. Like I remember Elise, and I think I heard Alara say it too. They were like, yeah, they haven't been together for like any time at all, but they seem like they're one of the long-term couples. They had kind of had that
Agreed.
energy with each other right away.
Calm.
Into each other. And then when Kaz came for Nigel handled it beautifully.
Oh, I would have. If I would have been sitting there and all of a sudden he just chirped
out of nowhere was like, I'm an alpha, and clearly you chose the
I would have been like, you know what's
opposite?
the least alpha thing in the world is to talk about how many times you're an alpha.
Yeah.
I would have been like, that is a clear sign you're a fake alpha. If you're all you do is talk about how much of an alpha you are.
Oh no, you would have clapped back. And
And
Nigel
Nigel was like, don't mistake me being a nice guy for not being an alpha. Like he was so much more mature than I would have been.
he handled it so graciously. And then also too, another thing is Christine and Nigel, they knew each other outside of this, and they had been interested in each other, but neither of them had like kind of made the pursuit. So they were very cute together. They end up winning, which was a shocker because we were all like, Steven and Alara is going to win. So they end up winning. They go on a trip, but they are also not together. So that's
no survivors.
that's the end of that. And this was an absolute chaotic shit show failure mess of a season. But I did enjoy it. I loved watching it. I can't lie to you. I loved the drama.
We loved the drama.
And, you know, all it did is it really made me fall more in love with Nick Lachey. And now I miss him already. And I'm excited to now see him on Love is Blind for this next season.
I want a Nick Lachey reality show again. That's what I want.
Oh, wow.
I want Vanessa and him to do what he
show.
did with Jessica Simpson back in the day.
Yeah,
because what makes those shows so great is the hecticness, the craziness, you know what I mean? And I would absolutely watch him on another reality show because something about him is so funny to me.
You know what? You know, I was posting on Instagram about the show and I opened up Nick Lachey's music and I forgot about some of like, obviously there's 98 Degrees, but some of the Nick Lachey bangers.
The like 2002 bangers that he was coming out with.
I'm back on it.
Yeah.
I'm listening to Nick Lachey music and reading romance novels, and that's where I'm at right now.
I think he's probably doing the same.
You know, I sure hope so.
I
hope
he
he's
is.
out
I
there.
could totally see him reading romantic
You know,
novels.
we miss you already, Nick, and we can't wait to see you on Love is Blind. I know you'll be back with Vanessa, but we hope we can catch that sparkle in your eye.
We'll see.
We'll see. Anywho, family,
love you. I'll see you
much.
Friday. Cast bios.
Thanks for coming along this journey with us.
That was fun.
And yes, like Evan said, cast bios on Friday. Part 1 on Friday. Part 2 on Wednesday. Cannot wait. And then the following week,
we start with Jen.
we start Jen's season.
Let's
go. We love you all. Can't wait.
Mwah. Bye.
Bye.